Okay, good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I am here with your weekly tarot and oracle card reading. So, as some of you may know, this week we have a full moon coming up. So, this video not only includes the week, but includes the full moon. And that full moon will be in the sign of Aquarius. So currently, not only is the full moon going to be in Aquarius, but I think Saturn is also in Aquarius. And we've also got the sun is still in Cancer, the sign of Cancer. Mercury's in Cancer. And Aries and Venus are in Leo. So take that as you will as we go through the reading. And let's see here. So first off, we have the full moon card from the Moonology deck, the Moonology Oracle card deck. And the full moon says, surrender to the divine. The sign of Aquarius, I'll talk about Aquarius a little bit. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it over a few other videos. But the sign of Aquarius is, well, it's an air sign. But of course, when you think about it, you think about the symbol that represents it. It is represented by the water bearer. So you could almost say that Aquarius is very transmuting kind of a sign, where it can take emotions and turn them into thoughts and ideas, and create this this sense of, it can transform, it can transmute in order to transform. So surrendering to the divine, right? For any full moon, that's the idea with any full moon. But with the full moon in Aquarius, it is show the world the real you. That's the message. So now you'll notice something a little bit different today. I felt a little bit needing to do something spontaneously. So I didn't do the whole lay them out first, sit with it, so that the reading will be shorter and easier to watch, right? I've gone back to the shuffle, lay them out, and do the reading format. So let's go ahead. We're going to use a Rider-Waite today with the Rider-Waite deck. Let's get that out. And of course, I've got my throat chakra candle lit for this week for the sign of Aquarius, air sign, throat. That correlates. And I've also got my full moon candle lit. But we're going to read for the week and the full moon. All right. I call on my ascended and enlightened ancestors to come into this reading. I also call on my divine masters and teachers to come into this reading with the message for anyone who might need it for this week of July 19th and for the full moon in Aquarius. Thank you so much, spirits. Thank you for your divine insight and guidance. Thank you for allowing the message to come through me. Okay, let's see. There. Thank you. Wow, thank you. Ooh. All right. Awesome. So I hope that you all can see these. I've been futzing around with my camera to try and get the right angle. I'm not sure if it has done its job. So I'm gonna go through the cards. Let's look at what's come out. The Two of Wands, the Knight of Swords, the Chariot, the Four of Swords, and the Page of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Swords. All right, so let me take 1 second to get a feel for what's in the cards. Okay. So one, we have a lot of swords overriding the reading, which is very much about air signs when we're thinking of astrology. But let's talk about the two. Let me get this out of the way. Let's talk about the Two of Wands. So overall, I will say for this reading, before I get into the Two of Wands, overall, I will say this is a week of fulfillment. This is a week of hard work now coming to fruition. That's what I get from this, from my own intuition, but also from the cards themselves. I mean, it's kind of that's the genre of the week. So this Two of Wands it's all about making a decision. Should you stay with what you've built and what you've established, or should you try and, like this man is considering here, he is trying to figure out, should he continue to build on current success, or should he take his actions elsewhere? Should he create something new elsewhere? Is this enough where he is, or should he do more where he is, or should he do more going forward? And that's the question that we ask ourselves in the beginning of the week. Are we've made an established action, and now it's a question of not only what action is next, but what action do I take it here, or do I move the action? Do I establish myself, right, in another space? Some of you might be looking at different, maybe taking a different job, taking on different tasks, traveling the world. You might be considering even starting a business in a new country or new location. The Knight of Swords is rushing into this decision, and the Knight of Swords is loyal. This is about loyalty. Every time I see this card, the Knight of Swords is always one to just rush into battle, rush into support, rush in to do what's needed. So it's almost as if the Knight of Swords is indicative of the support that you will have going forward with whatever it is that you decide to do in this Two of Wands. Because when we think about air and fire, which is what the wands represent, air and fire, when they come together, it increases. Air feeds fire. It gives it more to go on. And of course, this Knight of Swords, and again, I'll just say the Knight of Swords, if you're looking at it being a person, the Knight of Swords usually represents someone who is I would say in their like late 20s into their 30s. So a youngish person, but not a child, like a young adult. So use that as you will. Now the Chariot, this is interesting because the Chariot is all about success. This is all about success, again, whatever direction you take with all the tools that you have. This is about success. It's amazing. And the Chariot is also the card of Cancer. So if we look at where Cancer is in the astrology chart at the moment, it's in the sun, right? Cancer is in the sun, it's the sun sign, but it's also in Mercury. So it kind of says, you know, if you think about it, right, it says success, but if we're using the energy of Cancer in this success card, in this Chariot card, it could mean that our movement is successful when we are in a, we are saying what we need to say in a very nurturing way, a very caring way, but also a very straightforward way, in a way that protects that which we love and protects our family, right? Because Cancer is a very nurturing sign. Cancer, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this last week, about Cancer not only being this sign of, you know, I'm a mother, I'm nurturing, but it's also the mama bear, right? It's also that mama bear energy of protecting those that she loves. And so let's think about that in that kind of context of the sun and Mercury being the planet of communication, right? Communication, electronics. You could also be getting a new car. I mean, it could be as simple as that, right? It could be maybe you're getting a brand spanking new kind of like a family vehicle. Who knows? But let's go into this Four of Swords that pops up. The Four of Swords to me is always about, you know, it comes up as being spiritual rest. Even though we see this person lying, we see a figure of this person's casket lying there, restful, peaceful, and, you know, protected, right? The Four of Swords, four is always about stability. And this to me is stability in thought. So it could be that you're feeling stable in how you are thinking and how you're going about your business or your decision making here. But when we also think about stability in thinking, I think this also points a little bit to the full moon. This is about meditation, getting into a meditative state. Now, this Four of Swords, a lot of times I have seen it through other tarot readers associated with spiritual practices, different spiritual practices. So not only meditation, but shamanic journeying. That could be something that you might try out or do for the full moon. You could be trying maybe like a restful yoga where you're not doing a whole lot of movement, but you're very still and in your body. I keep thinking of, what's the yoga pose? Savasana. The one where you are, you know, you're completely rested, you're on your back, and you're not really doing anything but, you know, letting all your joints relax, letting your feet relax, just kind of letting everything fall away. Now that could also be an indicator as to why we are doing this. It's this spirit of letting go of things that are, let's look at this card a little bit closely too, because in this card, we're looking at someone who has obviously passed on, right? Has passed on. And a lot of times our beliefs about moving forward, because with the stained glass window in the background, we can tell this is maybe a religious structure, right? That this person is buried, like maybe a mausoleum or a crypt or something like that. And it speaks to the whole going into worlds that are not this world. Basically moving into a space of either meditation or something mimicking death in order to experience this, I'm trying to find the words, in order to experience this it's transcendent. Transcendent is the word. Going into the self in such a way that we die to the outside world, but we are actually in kind of this transcendentive state where we can do meditation, where we can do shadow work, where we can do other, alternative spiritual things. And I think that's part of what this full moon in Aquarius is asking us to do. It's very interesting. I had, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I once had a close family friend passed away when I was, I believe I was in my 20s. And at the time, I wasn't really in a space of being able to, I wasn't really in a supported space to be able to do some of the work that I'm doing now, the spiritual work, shadow work, guided meditations, tarot readings, things like that. But a lot of the stuff that I was getting was coming through my dreams, right? And after the funeral for this family friend, I went back home and I was sleeping, and in the dream that I had, I woke up in the room that I was in and I saw the friend, and of course this is in the dream. In the dream, I woke up in the room and I saw her sitting in the corner looking like her wonderful, living self, like the her as I remembered her, very bright, very loving, giggling. Like I can still hear her laugh to this day, and it's been, 20 over, had to have been almost 20 years since she passed away. But so I had this dream, and I was asking her, I was like, wait a minute, you died. And she was like, hey, she's like, hey, Isha, she's like, I may be gone on this plane, but I still exist on another plane. And so I'm not saying that you're gonna die or anything like that, but I am saying the thought of, someone existing on once someone is not existing on this plane, they still exist on another plane, on another parallel, domain, a parallel plane that is just kind of riding along with the rest of the energy that is going through this this thing that we are living, right? This reality that we are living. So again, this is a transcending, which means, the Four of Swords is all about peaceful rest. It's not about death. It's about peaceful rest. But it's also, stabilizing peaceful rest, which means things like meditation, things like yoga, alternative spiritual modalities that include the body, include the breath, right? Include the emotions. Okay, and lastly, we have this Page of Cups. The Page of Cups, I think it's really awesome that the Page of Cups shows up last in this reading, because to me, the Page of Cups says something is actually being given, something is actually being brought back in this, from this restful state in the Four of Swords. Something is being brought back. And when I say being brought back, It's an idea, right? It's something that our emotions have finally come to an agreement about, that this needs to come forward. Oops, sorry. That is my alarm. Stop. Okay. All right, that's my alarm. Sorry. So the Page of Cups, and it's how timely that is, like, what's coming forth? Oh, the alarm. But as we wake up out of those states, right? As we wake up out of those states of being, what is coming forward for us? What are we bringing back from this restful state? You know, from meditation, from our yoga practice, from our shamanic journey. What's coming back to be birthed? Because the Page of Cups, it's normally, you know, people say the Page of Cups and see, you know, oh, a birth. And it's, you know, look, it's a lot more than just a birth on a physical level. Like, you know, again, we talked about different planes, right? Different levels of existence, and how we transcend where we are now when we do yoga, when we meditate, when we go on shamanic journeys, when we do shadow work. Knowledge comes back, insight comes back, intuition comes back, and that's what the Page of Cups is representing here. This is about bringing forth from that other world something that's going to bless this world. It's not always about, oh, someone is pregnant. I mean, it could be. But what I really want the takeaway of this reading to be is, when you go into this other state of being and come back, you are coming back with a blessed, intuitive idea. A whole idea, a whole new idea, right? Okay. Now at the bottom of the deck, of course, is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, that's my, that's actually my shaman energy. She's the one that is, what's the word? She's a Queen of Swords, but she's also using her sword, right? This is the medicine, truth as the medicine. And that's what a shaman will do for you. That's what a shadow work practitioner will do for you. Shadow retrieval practitioner will do for you. That is what a tarot reader will do for you, right? This is someone who is going to be very honest, but in a loving, nurturing way. This is, and when I say the medicine, the truth is the medicine, a lot of times it's the truth we don't want to see, but sometimes it is the truth that we need to hear, that we need to listen to. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read this full moon in Aquarius card, and then I'll pull guidance, and we are on our way for the week. Let's see. Oh, here it is. All right. Show the world the real you for the full moon in Aquarius. Oh, here's the book. All right. Full moon, Aquarius. Where are you? Here we are. This card brings the message from the cosmos that you need to detach a little. Detach a little. Remember, Four of Swords. And of course, that comes toward the end of the reading, end of the week. You need to detach a little from whatever situation you're asking about. Someone might be keeping you at arm's length now, but it's no bad thing. It's important for you to allow life to unfold and progress, even if change seems like a frightening prospect. If you've been holding yourself back from showing the world the real you, this card reminds you that your unique characteristics are what make you special. In a relationship, are you being too aloof or detached? Go ahead and be yourself in whatever is coming up for you. Attune to the moon. Be aware of your feelings, but also be prepared to move on, right? With this Chariot. Yeah. So additional meanings for this card. Oh, don't lose the beauty and romance of life. You are too much in your head. Get into your heart. A friend needs you. Be there for them. A situation is going to take a very unexpected turn. The teaching. Every full moon is a time to release and let go. But the addition of Aquarian energy to the mix triples that message. Aquarius is the opposite of clingy, and pulling this card at any time suggests either you need to let go, or someone is thinking they are the ones who need to let go, perhaps of you. What needs to go? What is the right thing to do? Whatever happens next could be highly unconventional or unexpected. Wow. Okay. So, let's see. My guidance cards. All right. You know what? I'm going to pull an archetypes card. Kim Cran's archetypes. Let's see what we get here. Spirit, can you give us some guidance for this reading for the week of July 19th and also the full moon in Aquarius this week? Thank you, Spirit. And also think back on what your intentions were when we had the new moon in Cancer a few weeks back. And think about how that has, wow, the mirror. Wow. Think about how this might even relate, this reading might even relate to that time for you. Okay, so we've got the mirror as the guidance card from the archetype. You know what? The archetype, sorry. So it's funny when we look at the mirror, that's exactly what I was thinking about when I was talking about this Four of Swords very in depth. The mirror is what I often think of when I think about different planes of existence. Imagine standing, and even it kind of correlates too with the full moon in Aquarius. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, right? And looking and seeing the real you reflected back to you. And everything that we do on a daily basis should be a reflection of what's in the mirror, what we see in the mirror, right? And that comes back to how we think about ourselves. Looking in the mirror, if we see someone who is, covered up by what the world wants us to be, and we're trying to compare to that, that's not what we're trying to be the person in the mirror. But that's my thought on that card. I'm going to go ahead and read the actual meaning of the card. LXVII. Okay, the mirror. The reflection, the illusion, the looking glass. We look into mirrors every day without recognizing them as portals into another realm. They can shatter, flatter, distort, reflect, and project an image back to us that we deem to be true. The energy of the mirror is all about self-perception. When the archetype of the mirror appears, we are in the mythic land of Narcissus, who saw himself reflected in a pool and fell in love with his own image, so compelled by his reflection he could not turn away, a fixation that eventually led to his death. Recognize the power and danger of the mirror. It is a construct, one that may drive a shard between you and your true self. The mirror contains trickster energy. Put the phone down, stop with the comparisons, and let the mirror stand empty for a while. Rest with the one inside. When this card is in light, witnessing the deeper self, pure awareness, but when it is dark, there's narcissism, comparison, and harsh edges. To go deeper. Oh, you know what? She was in the Yayoi Kusama's Infinity Mirror Rooms, which I believe is an art exhibit. I will try and find a link to it to put in the video description. Other advice, speak to yourself gently and kindly in the mirror. It will feel awkward at first, but it is a sure way to become friends with yourself. Yes. And even meditation, yoga, all of that stuff, that is also you becoming friends with yourself. For further reflections, read the poem I Am Not I by Juan Jimenez and Yoko Ono's mirror piece in Grapefruit. Again, I will try and link to those in the description later on this evening. But either way, I hope you all have a wonderful week and have enjoyed this reading. Be sure to do your full moon celebrations, which is, whatever you want it to be, but also definitely make sure you do something for you. Yoga, meditation, even maybe a shamanic journey. If you'd like to book a shadow work session with me, I would love to have you. Check out my website for scheduling details, www.fifthroadspirit.com. Thanks.